Overtaking on track, it's what we all want to see in Formula 1. But what about when a circuit, for example like Monaco, crops up? A track where the tight twisting streets make it almost impossible for the cars to duel on track. Well, there are plenty of strategies to try and use to create overtaking, both implemented by the teams and by Formula 1 and the FIA over the years. So here are those strategies that Formula 1 has used to try and make action on track more exciting. I'm Ollie Wilson for GPFans, and before you move ahead with the special, just hit the subscribe button down below to stick with us for the whole of the 2022 season. But now, let's talk overtaking. As I said earlier, as a Formula 1 viewer, you naturally want nothing more than to see heated duels being fought out on track. And thankfully, we are seeing more and more of that more and more often on a racing Sunday. However, we still also see the so-called DRS trains that take place. A string of drivers who are all within DRS range of each other, but are unable to start overtaking on track. This is mainly because a driver loses a lot of downforce if he is close to the car in front. The tyres also wear out faster during that time, causing him to lose grip. Well, the new regulations have come in to try and change that. With the new technical regulations introduced prior to this season, this problem had to be addressed, and so far it seems to be fairly successful. Where drivers lost 35% of the downforce at a distance of 20 metres last year, this has been reduced to 4%. 10 metres away, it has dropped from 47% to 19%. As a result, we saw plenty of interesting battles during the first few races of the 2022 season, and not only at the front of the field either, but also in the middle of the pack, where it gets really difficult to overtake at times. Nevertheless, it still proves difficult to overtake on some circuits in this modern era of F1. A Formula 1 car is about 2 metres wide and more than 3 metres long. You can imagine that finding a hole can sometimes be a little difficult. To promote overtaking, the drag reduction system was introduced in 2011. This ensures that the air resistance of a Formula 1 car is temporarily reduced by opening the flap at the rear wing. This is only allowed in the so-called DRS zones and if a driver is within a second of the car in front when he passes the detection point. This allows the car in question to achieve a higher top speed for a short period of time, which obviously benefits overtaking. Even with this system, however, it sometimes turns out to be virtually impossible in practice to initiate an overtaking move, and that's where strategy comes in. If it doesn't work out on the track, it's up to the clever minds at the pit wall to figure out a way to get past an opponent. The most common tactic here is the undercut. Anyone who ever watches Formula 1 will undoubtedly hear this term more than a few times per broadcast. If you are new to the sport, it may sound complicated, but in fact, the strategy is very simple. Basically, this gives you a chance to drive a little earlier than your opponent on a new set of tyres. Suppose you've been stuck behind the car in front for about 2 seconds for a long period of time and you can't get past on track. In such a situation, the undercut can offer a solution. Going in a lap or two earlier than usual will put you on new tyres sooner than your opponent. If you give it plenty of gas on your outlaps, then your competitor is still driving on their old tyres. There is a good chance that you will suddenly be in front of him after their pit stop. The undercut pass is achieved. In practice, of course, it is a bit more difficult than that. A small disadvantage is that once your rival has been in, you will have been driving on somewhat older tyres. However, you are past him and have track position, leaving it up to him to come alongside and try and take the place from you. The tricky part is that this strategy is, of course, also known among the teams. For example, if Max Verstappen drives right behind Charles Leclerc, Ferrari know that Red Bull may be going for the undercut. They can anticipate this, for example, by bringing Leclerc in early, so that Verstappen can no longer go for the undercut. Then we come to the reverse strategy, the overcut. In practice, this is much less common than the undercut. With this tactic, you try to pass your predecessor by going in a little later. However, this only works on tracks where tyre wear is extremely low. After all, you have to be able to ride faster than your opponent on new tyres. In Monaco, for example, this is sometimes attempted. The degradation of the rubber is therefore very low in the street circuit. If your opponent goes into the pits before you, you can have clean air in front of you and really hit the gas and try and run down those tyres to the bare bone before pitting for fresh rubber. if you get a little bit of luck as well, you could end up in front of your opponent. So those are the tactics that are predominantly used to try and promote overtaking in Formula 1. Is there anything that we've missed at all? Let us know in the comments section below. And of course, keep subscribing to GP Fans for the whole of the 2022 season.